The fact that my grandmother lost almost 100 family members in the Holocaust not only created an impact on her life, but on my mother's and mine as well. It created a sadness that stayed with them their entire lives, affecting them physically and emotionally. I began to think about other traumas in Jewish history because it had such an impact on my family. And I came up with something that happened a long time ago, the Inquisition. Jews from the Iberian coast were cast out of Spain as Sephardim by Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. They were persecuted around the world for almost 400 years. The trauma they felt was tangible, yet they managed to preserve their heritage through their traditions, their rituals, their memories. They gave them great comfort. Why would you risk passing on impending death to your children? They could have walked away, and many did. However, there were others who were willing to die for what they believed. Why endanger your family to pass on Jewish identity? What kept them going? This may sound crazy, but the real answer may be in their genes. Epigenetics is a new science that examines how environment can alter our genes and adjust the way they function. Scientists at Columbia, Duke, Emory, Stanford are studying how certain traumatic life experiences can affect us on a genetic level, actually changing our DNA. Now, we know trauma leaves scars. And now there's evidence that our genes are being altered. And not only that, these changes can be passed on. When we repeat an action or a thought, it's imprinted in our brains and our bodies. Even after the experience is over, it's not forgotten. We've learned through Sephardim's stories, their oral tradition, their books, that they suffered from melancholia. We call it depression today. It's well documented that the experiences that they had changed them, abandoning their homes, forced conversions, always living under a threat of death. These experiences changed them so profoundly that they imprinted in their genes. Why is this important? If our genes can change the past, then we can determine the future. We know the concept of tabula rasa, or a blank slate, has been around since Aristotle. Today, that idea has been abandoned. A new baby comes in on the very first day of life with a suitcase full of traits. In fact, being bipolar is 70% genetics and 30% environment. An eating disorder is 40% genetics and 60% environment. Our ancestors' experiences have combined in a concrete way, especially trauma that leaves a signature. This takes on monumental importance, not just for us, but for our children and their children. When I first learned about DNA evidence, I was very skeptical. It sounded fantastic to me that someone could take a swab from the inside of someone's cheek and that could send them to prison for the rest of their lives. Yet it's a fact. So what do we do with this new information? If trauma and negative experiences can be imprinted on our genes, why not positive ones using the same pathways that trauma used to pass on? Sephardim maintained their identity and traditions through centuries of persecution. Why is it a Catholic woman is in her closet in New Mexico lighting candles in the 21st century. Vital rituals and life-affirming behaviors imprinted on Sephardim's genes alongside the trauma they experienced. From the way we celebrate the birth of a baby, to the apples and honey we taste at Rosh Hashanah for a sweet new year, or even the rituals we perform to bury the dead, we are using our ancestors' life cycles. This takes on monumental importance. What we do now can matter and influence future generations, especially if we do them with passion and with purpose. Rituals and traditions carry great meaning for us. Sephardim carried on no matter what happened. Today, we observe what we have been taught. In fact, we do our rituals with people from our own gene pool very often. It gives us great comfort, and those connections matter. Let's say we want to light candles for Shabbat. We're doing it with thousands of other people around the world who are doing the same thing. It's not just the rituals we do with our children, it's the ones we do for ourselves. In our family, when we all gather to light the candles, we take a deep breath to release the week and greet the Sabbath. Afterwards, we kiss and hug, and sometimes even burst into song. We're not just repeating traditions to keep them alive, we're sealing them into our genes by imprinting a new code, one that gets passed along, ones that live in our body. If positive experiences can be passed on, then let's choose what we want future generations to know by our actions. Our actions have the potential to be passed on to our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. It's all part of our genetic legacy. I grew up in a home that was echoing with the Holocaust and short on traditions, yet I had a strong sense of identity. Wouldn't it be nice not to have a trauma every few generations to reinforce our identity? We can replace that with positive experiences that create continuity. It gives us the opportunity to reverse the traumatic tide. We can't change the past. We can direct the future. We can even be the authors of our own lives. That's incentive enough to build your family by passing on traditions to upcoming generations, ones that are encompassing, by making conscious choices to find what lives in you. Your influence could last many generations. It just might change your DNA for the better. Thank you.